Welcome back, everybody, to Dr. Sellers Educate. We're happy that you're back as we continue to support your journey towards CNE success. If this is the first time that you're tuning in to our channel, we're happy that you're here. And for those of you that are returning, welcome back. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you go ahead and do that now so you'll be notified every single time there's a new episode, which happens every week. The purpose of these snapshots really is to support and to supplement your learning as you're reviewing all of the competencies that you'll need to be knowledgeable about in order to be successful on the NLN CNE exams. When we talk about CNE, it is referring to the CNE exam, the CNE Novice, and CNE CL. Okay, so all of our content that you're going to see covered here on our YouTube channel, or if you listen to our podcast, it is mapped back and aligned with the NLN recommendations across all nurse educator competencies. If you are focusing on your CNL clinical journey, the only resource here that you don't have to focus on is going to be item analysis, okay? Because there are not going to be questions on the CNE-CL exam regarding item analysis. The series that we are now almost in the middle of, this is episode 3 of our series, is specifically looking at the hallmarks of nurse educator excellence. If you're not familiar with what those are, we are happy to share the third hallmark, nurse educator excellence, with you today. And the 2 previous episodes are going to go over hallmark 1 as well as hallmark 2. So let's go ahead and jump into our content. We're going to start by looking at the actual document. So if you go to NLN website, this is where you're going to find the hallmark of excellent documents. Okay, so this is really a compilation that NLN has put together that allows us as a nursing program as well as a nurse educator to reflect on where we are as it relates to each of these hallmarks. We, as a recap, we initially started this series looking at the engaged students and the importance of us understanding what specific indicators or what specific questions we should be asking ourselves to ensure that we are establishing a hallmark of excellence nursing education program, as well as being an excellent nurse educator. Okay, so this mission is about you getting certified, and this is equally important to us that you are strengthening your skills as a nurse educator to better facilitate the learning process for our learners in the classroom. Okay, when we say classroom, we're talking about the virtual classroom space, whether you're teaching online or in a remote environment, and the in-person experience, as well as the clinical experiences and the sim lab and the skills lab and simulation experiences as well. Okay, so all of the learning environments, that's what we're referring to. We initially started with hallmark 1, and last episode, we focused on the importance of a diverse, well-prepared faculty. And now this episode is focusing on establishing that culture of continuous quality improvement. There are 2 specific categories here that NLN has outlined. First is making sure that our nursing program is engaging in a variety of activities that promote quality and excellence, including accreditation by national nursing accreditation bodies. Okay, so what do you need to know for the NLN exam related to these 2 specific hallmarks? Well, first of all, make sure that you are aware of the different national nursing accreditation bodies. If you have Dr. Caputi's Red Book, you know that's one of the primary resources we use to help you close your knowledge gaps. And then the second resource is Billings and Halstead Teaching and Nursing 6th edition. What you want to take a look at is in chapter 5 of Dr. Caputi's review book, you're going to see a chart where you will have all of the nursing organizations, or the primary ones that are listed there for you. Okay, and part of the work that you're doing in closing your knowledge gap under competency 5 is making sure that you are knowledgeable about the content that are listed here in these hallmarks. And what we're doing in these snapshots, we are aligning our review of content for these hallmarks. We're mapping it back to the actual competencies, okay? So it's actually chapter 8 on page 147 in Dr. Caputi's review book. Okay, so table 8.4 is going to list those accrediting bodies for you. In chapter 5, you're going to see some information about specific ways and strategies that we can focus on and really hone in on ways that we can improve our as a nurse educator, the learning experiences that we are providing for our students. Okay, so it's more of an accountability model that we're engaged in when we look at Competency 5 and Chapter 5. And then again, the accrediting body's information is listed in Dr. Caputi's review book in Chapter 8, specifically on page 147. So if you haven't purchased your resources, that is step one, okay? If you look at our 7-week study plan, there's information right here in our update. If you look in our the details in the YouTube episode and in the podcast, you will see the link to take you to the 7-week study plan. That is going to be your guide as you move forward on your journey. And then the second subset area under Hallmark 3 is that program design, implementation, and evaluation are continuously evaluated for revisions. That's how we all get better as nurse educators, and it requires us to be committed to excellence in our role. Mapping back to the actual competency, it is Competency 5 for the CNE, and you're also going to see it intertwined in different areas. If you take a look at your competencies, if you're on your journey for a CNE novice or CNE clinical, there are a lot of different areas that map back to self-evaluation and improvement. What you want to do is take a look at where you are as it relates to each of these sub-competencies or task statements. And then you're going to determine, depending on what gaps you have, you're going to determine what additional studying you need to do of these specific concepts. Again, we want you to use Dr. Caputi's review book and Billings and Halstead as your primary sources to make sure you're closing your knowledge gaps. All right, so as we wrap up, I know this one was a little bit longer than usual. Let's take a look at our practice question as well as the model. If you're not familiar with this model, we will continue to review it week to week as we finish our series related to the hallmarks of excellence as a nurse educator and as the looking at the nursing education model. So the culture of continuous improvement, this is going to make sure that we as nurse educators are considering both our internal and external stakeholders, looking at the nursing program and opportunities to create a stronger learning experiences for our students is going to ensure that they are providing safe patient care after graduation. It's helping them bridge the theory to practice gap so that they feel more prepared and more equipped with the knowledge they have by the time they get to their practice setting that they choose after graduation. So we want to engage in those sustained evaluation strategies to achieve excellence. Not that we will ever reach a point where there aren't ever opportunities to improve, right? It's a continuous quality improvement cycle. And so that's what we're committing to as a nursing education program, hallmark of excellence philosophy. Okay, so that's what we mean by that. Let's take a look at the practice question. Okay, so here we go. The question was related to research and evidence, and we're going to do something different. Let's go ahead and pop up our poll question. If you all are not aware, you can now launch a quiz in the actual Zoom session. Okay, so you should be able to see it on your screen. So here's the question. Research and evidence-based practices are elements of quality improvement as a nurse educator. System models and theories provide the framework to organize and prioritize educator activities for improvement. Which self-improvement activity would best align with this area of nurse educator excellence? All right, and so what your learners would do is they would participate in this poll. They would choose A, incorporate self-reflective activities, B, mentoring new faculty member, C, serving on curriculum committee, or D, serving as dissertation chair. Okay, so if you want to pause the video here and come back when you're ready. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And now you should see that the correct answer is A, incorporate self-reflective activities. All right, and this again is just an exciting way to offer quizzes to increase engagement in the virtual experience where you don't have your students all in person together. But you can also certainly use this as a type of active response system. If you're not familiar with that terminology, just make sure you look at it in Billings and Halstead. There's some information about engaging students in the classroom, and that is one of them. All right, and then you have an option to share results as well. All right, so that's going to wrap up our snapshot for this series. Again, we focus today on Hallmark 3 in the NLN Hallmarks of Excellence in the nursing education model. And if you have questions, you can reach out to us. Our information is located right in the description for this episode. And again, you make sure you subscribe and you like this episode, and we will see you next time. Have a great one, everybody.